Whoop! Hello, hello, front porch show. We're set to go. Front porch show. Hello, hello, we're set to go on with the front porch show. It's dynamo, the front porch show. Set to go, front porch show. Dynamo, set to go on with the front porch show. We'll have a laugh or two. Big smiles from me and you. Hello, hello, front porch show. We're good to go. Front porch show. Hello, hello, good to go on with the front porch show. Here's Don Van Galen.
Live from St. Mary's, coming to you virtually via Zoom and Facebook Live. It's the Front Porch Show starring John Stevens, the social distancing edition. Please join John and his guests, Amy Coverly from St. Mary's Museum, Lisa Lawrence from the town of St. Mary's Public Library, and Stuart Grant from the St. Mary's Independent, and of course, Frank St. Germain on the piano, and yours truly, Don Van Galen, all today on the Front Porch Show.
All right, we'll share a laugh or two. Big smiles for me and you. Hello, hello, front porch show. We're good to go. Front porch show. Hello, hello, good to go on with the front porch show.
And now, in seclusion at home, it's John Stevens.
Welcome all my friends in St. Mary's and some of my enemies and everybody overseas and all over around the world. Here's the deal today. Don is looking at the feed on Facebook. If you are somewhere, anywhere in St. Mary's, anywhere in the world, leave a message there. Don will be recording them, and we're going to do shout-outs during the show to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I live in so-and-so, and I'd like to say hello to whoever. Or whatever. So put your little messages. Keep them short, though, please, because Don can't read that well. But and try to keep them in English or French. John doesn't speak Turkish or Arabic very well. So there we go. But anyways, we've got a great show. We're trying something new, and I hope you're enjoying it. We're going to do our best and see what it does. But these are interesting times, aren't they, Don? How has life changed for you?
Well, John, I'm doing a lot of this, actually. You know, when it comes to work, I have to pick up the phone, do email, even virtual conferencing with my clients, and it seems to be working out okay. It's kind of limiting, but we're getting by. But I have to work from home a lot, so, you know, I'm running into this woman who lives here named Diane, and, you know, she's got her things to do, and I'm not usually here, so we have to get our own work done and home in the evenings now. I've got a lot of time on my hands. I think I'll do some renovating, maybe do some painting, might pick up my guitar and learn a few new songs. Who knows?
And Frank, what are you doing? Composing some new songs and things like that?
Well, yeah, you know, like I'm kind of laying low like most of the town of St. Mary's right now. Although periodically I do steal a little time outside by myself, far away from everybody. But we're right on the Trout Creek here, and the ducks really like me because I've been feeding the quackers out there because I feel little quackers when I'm isolated. But I'm okay, John. Thanks for asking.
That's good. Well, as I say, it's a new reality right now, and I think it's something that everybody's doing their best to pitch in, help, be positive about the situation, and certainly we live in a great town that way, and I'm sure people are doing this all around the world. So as I say, we mentioned the fact that you can, at the bottom of the Facebook feed, leave a comment, tell people who you are, where you are, and if you want to leave a very short message, please do. We're expecting our friend Rich to tune in somehow. He's probably there now, we hope. But other than that, everything's going really good. Well, I have the pleasure now of introducing my first guest. She's been on the show a few times, and that her name is Amy Coverly. She's the administrator at the St. Mary's Museum.
Hello, John. Thanks
Hey
for
there,
having me
Amy. How
on.
you doing?
I'm doing well.
I can honestly say I haven't seen you in a long time.
It has been a while, although I guess I'm really only a block away from you.
Well, that's good. We're really self-isolating here. Uh, Tell me, our museum, let's just talk about the museum in general. Our museum is a lot more than just a museum, correct?
Right, so we have a large online presence as well with our Picture St. Mary's website, which I will hopefully chat about a little later. And we are the municipal archives, which is a little unique. So all of the municipal records, council minutes, assessment records, records from different organizations in the community, they all come to our facility as well.
Right. And how far back do those records go?
So we have the hard copy and microfilm copy of the local newspapers back to 1857. And then we do have early municipal records that start in the 1850s as well, when we were first incorporated as a village.
That's absolutely amazing. I don't know of any place that's so well documented than St. Mary's. It's incredible. Now you also do a seminar series, and you may be doing this with your seminar series, I think, in the future, doing them by virtual thing, because you have a great lineup for us.
Yes, so that is a little disappointing at the moment. Both our March and April seminars have been, we're not saying canceled, we're saying postponed for now. Ken Telfer was supposed to lead both of those, and he has started most of the work. So we will be offering them at some point. We don't know when, and offering them digitally has been on our radar, and so that might be an option as well.
Yeah, I think all of us are going to become experts in things like Zoom or Facebook in the near future. That's for sure. We aren't already. So the other thing you have is a great photo library that people
Yes,
can
we
get on
do.
all around the world.
Right. So our Picture St. Mary's website. So that started back in 2008 with a provincial grant. And so we've been working to digitize as many of our historic photos as we can, and they are up on a website. So right now we have about 3,500 up on the website. They're searchable. There's lots of fun St. Mary's scenes, family photos, different parades and events in town. And that people can access that from home. So that's a great resource if somebody's just looking to do some fun browsing, but also maybe learn a little bit about the community.
And what in the future is the museum going to be doing? I know you got a great exhibit that was sort of a bit of a coup, getting the spoon to space display. Tell me about that.
Yes, so Space to Spoon is at our locked museum right now, which is unfortunate. So it arrived from Ottawa in January, and it's on until May. So who knows? People might still get an opportunity to check it out. It has been very successful in January and February. So we are looking tomorrow at bringing some components of that exhibit online so that people can take a little tour from their homes.
And what time will that be?
I am not sure yet. By the end of the day tomorrow is our goal.
Social media, though, so everybody knows, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be. So I encourage everyone to follow the St. Mary's Museum on Facebook and Instagram. Those are the two platforms we're using right now to get all of our content out. So follow us on Facebook, and we'll keep you posted tomorrow.
Okay, great. Now, what can people expect to see in this? I got it backwards. Space to Spoon.
So Space to Spoon, it was put together by the Canadian Food and Agriculture Museum, and it looks at how specifically radar technology, but research that's taking place in space, how it's impacting sustainable agriculture in Canada.
Okay, so yeah, because I thought it was how astronauts eat up in
no
in the space module. Fantastic, that sounds great. Now you got an event planned for tomorrow. Tell us about that.
Yes, so this other event, our St. Mary's Heritage Walking Tour Social Distancing Edition, it actually launched this past Friday. So it's going on for 2 weeks. So basically we've taken our Heritage Walking Tour brochure, we have digitized it and made a Facebook event. So there are 16 sites on the brochure, and we're encouraging people to get out, go for a walk, and you can space this out over the next 2 weeks. and take either a photo or a selfie, whatever you're comfortable with, at each of the 16 sites. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we will be asking people to share their photo from a couple of specific sites. So you don't know which ones we're going to ask. And if you share, you will be entered to win a $20 gift certificate to the museum gift shop once it opens.
Wonderful. There's some great things in the gift shop. This is, just so I'm clear, this is an independent thing people do then.
Yes.
You don't go out in a group.
This is us kind of encouraging people to take in the heritage sites, to get out for a walk, but this is something you do in a safe way. Don't round up your friends and head out to do this as a challenge. This is something that you either take your dog, take the people that you're already living with in your home, but please do not round up your friends and participate in this as a group.
Right.
So
and of course, there are certain people that shouldn't be doing this at all, correct?
Yes. So if you're not supposed to be leaving your home, then please don't participate in this.
The socially isolated people are to stay indoors.
Exactly. Totally. But if you are able to get out for a walk and feel that it is safe to do so, then I think this is a good way to get some exercise, learn a bit about our community, and also kind of participate in something fun.
Yeah. And certainly, as I say, that the seminars that you've been giving, that Ken and other people have been giving, they've been selling out, which is wonderful. And as I say, hopefully if people, if you can't do them in person, there's some way they can do them online, because certainly any entertainment that somebody gets that isn't, that makes them feel connected as a community is wonderful.
Right. And that's kind of our mandate is to educate the community about the history. So we have a couple other ideas up our sleeves that, if technology and time cooperates, we'll be launching those as well.
I think a display for the future will be this pandemic and how we survived it.
Actually, that's a really good point. So I am actually kind of, as our unofficial historian, I'm documenting what is happening in town right now. So we did an exhibit on the 1918 influenza outbreak last year. So I'm kind of putting my historian curator hat on and thinking, what is a curator going to wish they knew about this 100 years from now? So it is kind of strange documenting and being out taking photos of this, but I think that is part of my job as well. Yeah. So we have been documenting.
It's certainly interesting how life has changed even in the last week. 1 week ago, we were, bumping elbows to say hello, and now we don't even do that.
Exactly.
It's obviously going to change how we deal with each other in society, and it should be interesting to look back and see where this takes us, because we're living certainly a new reality there that's very interesting. Okay, well, thanks, Amy, for I would say coming in, but you didn't.
I'm on my couch in my leggings. This is great.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, so there we go. Going to throw it now to Don. Who's watching the show? What messages they've been leaving?
Well, Frank or John, this is really going viral. We want to go viral in a good way, right? But we're definitely getting a huge audience out there. We got some local people like Lorianne Franklin, who's a member of our team, watching. Sharon Smith from Ilderton. Hey, Sharon, thanks for watching. But you know what? We're crossing borders here, which you can't do it right now, right? But we are crossing borders with Erin Beyer from Indianapolis. You may know her.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And the Cummings from Bahamas.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So we're crossing ocean here. And special shout out to Adeline in Kingston. Thanks for watching, Addie.
Okay, well, I encourage other people who are watching the show to go into the comments section of the Facebook group. Leave your comments. Thank you for those who are watching right now. If you are watching, make sure, we're on for about another 45 minutes, I would say. Get out there and let your friends know about this, because we don't know what's going to happen here. We never do. It's always good
fun. It's a by the seat of your pants production, John.
By the seat of our pants
the way it is. And you know what? I think
Sorry, Don?
Everybody is having a by the seat of their pants production right now.
Well, it's quite funny talking about by the seat of your pants. We're in this sort of television mode. And as you know, in television, when you just show people on camera, you don't know what's happening from the waist down. You just see the shirt. So there we go. I could be sitting here in my
Well,
shorts, but I'm not.
that's probably a good thing between you and me.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the camera adds 20 pounds. So I'm actually about 180 right now. You believe that?
Okay, well, thanks, Don, for that. And we're ready now to introduce our second guest on the show. This guy has many hats, and we're going to talk about them. But one of the things he is the owner, publisher of the St. Mary's Independent. And so let's welcome Stuart Grant.
There, Frank.
There he is.
John.
Hey, how are you? Isn't this weird, eh?
Yeah, we're getting used to it.
I laugh because when I asked you to be on the show, it was like an instant yes, because saying, hey, this is going to be a real learning experience.
Absolutely. We're going to be doing more and more of this, like you guys talked about.
Yeah, and we had our practice at 12 o'clock to make sure we had half an idea what we were doing, and that was certainly an eye-opener. Okay, yeah, you're a publisher of a newspaper, and you won an award last year, am I correct?
Yeah, we did. You know what? We had everyone come together. We were able to bring over some people from the Journal Argus to really improve our paper, and that continues to be the case. We're trying to bring as many people into this as possible, and it was kind of music to my ears to hear what Amy was talking about as far as documenting this period of time that we're in. It's such a historically significant moment, and we want to hear from all sorts of different people to help us tell that story. So 40 and 50 years from now, people can understand what we went through. And in the present day, it's so important for us to, give people that connection to their community that the newspaper can bring.
So as a newspaper, what are some of the things you're doing to encourage people to tell their story?
Yeah, well, a lot of it's just getting the word out that we want people to contribute. So, for example, my wife's parents just got back from a 32-day cruise to South America that was cut very short. And so they submitted their story of what it was like as the week went on, and then their escape back to Canada, how that went. We encourage all sorts of people to tell us your story and let us get that out there, because I certainly can't go interview anyone in person. I haven't seen anybody in town in almost 2 weeks now. We just got back from Nashville and Florida ourselves, so we're in self-isolation here.
So how do you fill the newspaper? There's nothing going on.
Well, that we've had to make some adjustments, that's for sure. We normally Pat Payton does a 6-page sports section. There's no sports to cover. So Pat, he's a great writer, and he used to cover things other than sports at the Journal. So he's going to be taking a look at some of those social issues. How is it impacting people? Tyler Carruthers has also been instrumental in this adjustment. He recently moved to Toronto, and so we kind of got ahead of this a couple weeks ago, because he's been doing the layout for our paper from his home office in Toronto. So it made for an easier transition for us.
Right. What it must be difficult though to try to pull, to keep things under control. And what I'm trying to get at is that there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of things that people put out there that have become that really work people up as opposed to getting the facts. What are the type of things, controls you're having on a newspaper to keep on target?
Yeah, well, certainly a theme for us throughout the year, and really through the Ontario Community Newspapers Association, we've stressed the importance of being able to identify fake news and make sure that you're getting your information from reliable sources. So certainly the media plays a big role in that. I know I've been watching TV actually a lot more than usual, getting news right from the source, whether it's Justin Trudeau's daily updates or CBC News, and then for our small part in St. Mary's, reading the Independent.
Yep, and certainly our mayor's done a great job of keeping everybody informed as well. According to our provincial premier, everybody's just really getting behind this, and what I certainly like to see is the fact that political differences, I think, are usually being put aside right now, and we're all focusing on the issue. And
that's for sure. We're all in this together, and we all just gotta put aside some of our differences and do the best we can.
Yeah. Speaking of Pat Payton, he must be going through withdrawal right now, but he was really into the St. Mary's Lincoln's progress and a lot of the hockey teams in town who are in playoffs. You're part of the Lincolns. It was what must have been a disappointing situation for all of the hockey teams in town, not just the Lincolns.
Well, yeah, this touches everyone. But certainly from a Lincoln standpoint, I've been involved with the team for 4 years, and it's had a lot of ups and downs. And this was a playoff run we were all really looking forward to, from the excitement of it, and then of course with my Treasurer's hat on. I was looking forward to seeing the PRC packed with people cheering on the Lincolns. So that was certainly a heartbreaking end of the season, but as we look back on it now, we know it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, certainly it looked like from all the reports I heard and what I saw, a great group of guys.
Yeah, Spencer Seymour was on that bus on the way home when they got the news that the season wasn't just postponed, that it was canceled. And that was a really emotional moment because the team is so tight and there's some great leaders on that team. So what he did for this week's paper coming up is he wrote about that experience of being on the bus when the news came down, and that'll be worth a read. And
the coach was named Coach of the Year. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. We've Trent McClement and the rest of the gang. It's a huge staff that puts this together. A lot of people volunteer their time, and we were real proud to win that award. And yeah, congratulations to everybody.
I think from the top down, as an organization, the town can be very proud of them. I've looked at the promotions, for example, and Jamie and his crew have done a great job of promotions. Everything just works so well for the team, and it's a really first-class presentation, if I can say so. I can say so. I just did it.
Well, it's amazing how many people are involved, kind of even behind the scenes, and heartfelt thanks to all the volunteers that help make the Lincolns run, and all the fans and all the sponsors too. There's a lot to this, and it does take a strong community to support a team like this for the last nearly 65 years.
Let's talk a bit about St. Mary's Radio. Spencer Seymour obviously is becoming the way he calls a hockey game is so professional. I remember the first broadcast he did, and of course it was a learning curve, but wow, he is fantastic. What's happening at St. Mary's Radio?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, it's amazing to have a guy like Spencer, 20 years old, and see how talented he is. He does such a great job on the Lincolns and also covering the daily news and sports, which he does on the station. He's working on some special things right now. On Tuesday at 5:00, he's actually got a special show with another aspiring broadcaster, Joel Azano. They're going to be doing something called Just a Chat, where they're going to just sit down and talk about life in general, any number of topics, but they're going to try to avoid the coronavirus and politics, just to give somebody kind of a reprieve from the usual stressors of life right now. So if you have any ideas for that, send it into the station.
Yeah, and you could have your website, your Facebook group that can put it there, correct?
That's right. And to listen to the station, it's easy. Just go to stmarysradio.com and hit the player, or now we have available on Alexa. You can just say enable St. Mary's Radio and it'll do that.
Good. Well, again, I often use St. Mary's as my background while I'm surfing on the internet, and it's great. Selection music's wonderful, and it makes me feel at home, and that's the good thing about it. Now, you said you had maybe a few surprises for me as to some of the directions you're going in. Can you tell me some of those?
Well, you know what? We'll kind of announce those as they come along, but
bad man.
It's just great when you get people like Spencer and you get people like Rob Edney Rob Edney stepped up to do this Tuned In show. It's incredible. It's like his newspaper program, but put to music. It's stuff like that. We want to do more of that. One thing Spencer touched on this week in the papers, people can send in their own station IDs. You can record something on your phone and email it to us. We'd love to get more of that stuff.
Yeah, because I've heard my voice a few times, and because I was around there the first week, I think, and I hear it a bit too often. Yeah, come on, everybody, send in that, so you get all over the world with your voice. That's one, and get your kids to do it too. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it is a community radio station on Facebook, on the internet, and it really makes you feel at home. And we feature a lot of local artists too. Who are some of the local artists we feature?
Oh yeah, this has been a great opportunity to showcase these local artists like Darcy John, M. Griner, Callie McCullough. There's a huge list of them. When I did a top 40 countdown of 2019, and I think we had 6 different local artists in there. So it's a great thing. It's really exciting.
Well, Stuart, you've been very enlightening as usual, and appreciate your getting online with us here. And it's great to see your face. I'd give you a hug, but can't do that at a distance. But still,
Thanks a lot for having me.
We're looking forward to better days in the near future. So
Stay.
Thanks for dropping in, and all the best. Okay,
Thanks
we're
a
now
lot.
going back to Don Van Galen, who's going to update us on who's online. Donnie.
Hey, John, would you believe there are 10,000 people watching us all around the world?
You got to be kidding. No, I don't.
Would you believe 9,000?
No, tell me the truth, Don.
Actually, we're pushing 100. So
Okay.
that's not bad. I mean, we certainly encourage everybody to share and get their friends to watch and send out messages and make this go viral, as I say. But hey, we got people like Susie Johnson Cahill. You recognize that?
Yes, I do. Good friend.
Yeah, from all the way from Saudi Arabia.
And
Hey,
Jeddah.
Don,
Jeddah,
Yes.
yeah.
that reminds me of a song.
Uh,
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Where else?
Yeah.
Where
All
else
right,
are they?
Johnny Cash, the song there. That's great. We got the Troyers from downtown, the Troyer Spice watching. Linda and James Smiber out in Alberta.
Oh,
Hi,
wonderful.
guys. Sue Fowler right here in town. Must be interesting to be a real estate agent right about now, but way to go, Sue. Thanks for watching. And Eleanor Winters from Parksville, BC.
Oh, that's Jim and Eleanor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the great Bolton
and
team.
people are adding. I keep checking, the number keeps on going up as the show goes on. So either we're getting better or people are just digging what we got and sharing. So
Well, I think it's quite interesting because this seems to be going a lot smoother than when we're actually live.
well, we don't have to trip over mic cords. And,
Yeah. Yeah. Yusuf,
we don't have to worry about the
usually
wind
Joseph
blowing
is
down.
running around like mad.
We don't have to worry about the wind blowing down the set.
Yeah.
all
And there's certainly
that
not going
other
to be
stuff.
any rain. So,
Yeah. But I'll be really happy when we get back doing this live.
oh, I think everybody will, and being able to.
Oh, just a
Second.
minute. We're not live now?
We are.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
live.
yeah, but Don said I can't wait to get back to doing it live.
We are live online, but I mean live in person.
Yeah,
I'm live.
having-
Audience.
Seeing
I'm trying to-
who's out there, because I'm certainly missing some of the faces who normally show up at our show, that's for sure. Well, anyways, thanks for updating us, Don. We're now
Yep.
going to go to our third guest, and she is the try it again. She is the acting CEO of the St. Mary's Public Library, Lisa Lawrence.
Hi guys.
Hey, how are you, Lisa?
Good, thank you.
Good. Lighting's looking good. Good to see you again.
Can you see me? Perfect.
Yeah, because we're, as I say, in a situation where it's good to see a smiling face and a happy face. Like our museum, our library is pretty incredible. And now your audio is off, I think, Lisa.
Can you hear me?
I have a stroke. Oh, I have it. Okay, oh, I can hear you. There we go. We're fine.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Anyways, our library is. I always say a bookstore will have a hard time existing in St. Mary's because our library is so good. Our
Right.
library is a lot more than just books. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. There's so many more things to do in a library than just go in and check out a book. Not that that's a bad thing. We have our Maker Spaces program that's going. So people maybe don't know, you can actually book a time to come into the library and work with staff. We have a vinyl cutter there, so you can cut your own vinyl and make your own t-shirts. You can decorate fabric bags. You can even engrave dog tags if your pooch is looking for something. We've got a lot of programming that is available. So beyond just our book clubs, we have a documentary club. We try to bring in special guests, author readings when we're able to. We have lots of really interesting after hours programs too. And of course, we have our traditional story time. So Fridays at 10:45 a.m., when the library is open, to bring kids in. It seems kind of odd that we're sitting here in front of computers and we're broadcasting this online, but not everybody has access to computers and internet. So that's a place where the library steps in and tries to promote that and and really gives that access to people who don't have that at home, who aren't as fortunate. We have lots of outreach programs. We do a lot of public events, we go to schools, do class visits, read to the children there. And we do festivals. So we try to really get out in the community. And we have a ton of online resources as well for people to explore and gain access that way.
So what are some of the online, because obviously they can't walk into the library now. What are some of the online things they're doing?
You know, we have so many online programs or resources available. I counted them this morning. I think there's about almost 30 different things that people can access through our website. So if you go to the town of St. Mary's, click on recreation and leisure, click on library, and then go down a little bit to online resources. There's a whole bunch of different options there. Some of the ones that people maybe don't know about is something called Canopy. So this is a movie streaming service. So if you don't have Netflix or Prime or all those, you can actually do this through the library for free. Everybody gets 10 credits a month. One movie equals 1 credit. And one thing that they've done right now is they've got a whole list of movies right now that are for free. So the company understands that there's a lot of people at home trying to fill in some time. So there's a whole list of adult movies that are free, and all of the kids' movies right now are free.
Yeah. Now they have to have a library card, of course, because we have people from Saudi Arabia and Turkey and England and who knows where watching. So the key is you have to have a library card.
That's the thing. You need to have a library card. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you don't know where your library card is, or maybe it's expired and you're trying to access these resources and you think, oh no, it's not working for me, because you will need to use your card. You know what? We're encouraging people to use the contact the library feature through their website. And we are still monitoring that, and we will do what we can to check periodically and get that information back out to people.
Now that you're sort of shut down, are there some of the things that you're maybe thinking of putting online, like story time or something like this? Or
so right now, because everything keeps changing so quickly, we are starting to put our mind to that. So we are looking to see, outside of the program, or the resources that we have already, what can we do to continue engaging the community, because we have time on our hands and we can't go outside. So we're not there yet, but we are putting our minds to that. I'm kind of working with some of our town staff to see, in the recreation department, what they're doing and how the library can be part of that.
Right. Now we have a pretty extensive library. How many books do people have access to roughly?
Okay, so when you look at the St. Mary's Public Library is part of a network. So the Perth County Information Network, which is all of the Perth County libraries, we have access to 651 books.
Wow.
That's a lot of books.
And I say there's a DVD collection, although I would say maybe 10 years from now, DVDs may not even exist.
So, and while I agree with you, yes, like right now we have access to almost 12,000 DVDs and Blu-rays. So we have quite an extensive collection. And funny enough, actually, even with all of the online streaming services, our DVD and Blu-rays really do circulate a lot. Every time I'm over there, I'm amazed at how many are going out and coming back in every day.
Yeah. And the one thing you can always be guaranteed when you go into the St. Mary's Public Library is a smile.
Absolutely.
The staff you have is amazing.
The staff we have are absolutely amazing. They really do take the time to get to know people and get to know what they're like, and even like offer book suggestions and resources.
Yeah. Even your morning newspaper. Now, can people download ebooks in this situation?
So there is. So one of the things that I would encourage people to do is explore the Libby app. So it's something that an app that you can put on either your phone or your iPad. And through that app, you can download ebooks. You can do audiobooks if you choose to. I know myself, I always have an audiobook that's downloaded that I listen to in the car, for example, because I think it's a great way to listen, especially now. I don't want to really be listening to all the news every single day. It's a good way to get your mind off some of the stuff that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, some parents are, their schools are closed, daycare's closed. Are there any resources online for books for parents that they can entertain their kids and with knowledge?
Yeah, so actually TumbleBooks is a great resource to dig in onto. It's an ebook platform for children. It's very interactive, and it's a really good way to help get them into reading. So while they're off school, they might want to kind of put their books away, but this is a really good way to still keep them engaged and keep them reading a little bit. It's very interactive to keep them interested.
Yeah, I used TumbleBooks when I was in English as a second language instructor,
Mhm.
and there's all levels, all different types of books. Most of them are award-winning books,
Right.
and they're a lot of fun. And as I say, you can turn the audio off so the kids can read, or you can leave it on so they can read along. All sorts of options of how you can use them. So that's great. So in the future, what do you see as a library in the future?
So in the future, libraries are changing. We all know that as everything digitizes, and the library is having to change and evolve moving forward. One thing that's not going to change is that the library is still going to be that place that will provide free and equitable access to information and technology for everybody. I think you're really going to see it turn into or become more of a community hub, a place where people can connect with each other and connect with knowledge at the same time. It's a huge conversation in the library world. What will we look like in 5 years? But it's going to be that free, equitable access and that place to connect.
Yeah, where they can go and play mahjong and chess and other things like that.
Absolutely. And as you've said, come in and have a smiling face. I mean, there's so much value in our public libraries.
Well, Lisa, it's been great chatting with you. And as I say, we're very proud of our public library in St. Mary's. I've been in a lot of places in the world, and it's one of the finest libraries that I've ever been to. So congratulations on running such a great show.
I agree. It's a great place to hang out.
Okay, well, thank you, Lisa. Off you go, and you can sign out. There we go. She's gone. And we're now going over to Mr. Don Van Galen with an update of who's watching the show. Whoops, microphone's off, Don. Microphone's off. Your microphone's off. There we go.
I
Now
gotta
you're back.
hit that button. So lots of people are watching, John. I think this goes to prove when I first talked to you, we may have social distancing, but we can still come together as a community. And that's what this show is about, putting out a positive message and saying, hey, we still care about each other. We still want to talk to each other, and we still want to talk about our great town. We got people all over the place, like Kate and Reg Quinton from Skunk Hollow. I mean, there's a whole segment of the community down there, the very exclusive Skunks Hollow.
By the way, for those who are out of St. Mary's,
good
Skunks Hollow is part of St. Mary's.
And my good friend Lauren Eating and Lucas, you're watching. Great to have you along. Craig Jacobs. You remember Craig from last year, one of our sponsors and running his shop down in St. Mary's, the Surplus. We're all great to have him along. And our old friends, Linda Harris, Peter McCash, Jenny Sharp, Ron Cummings, and Noreen Switzer, all from town. I mean, everyone's coming on, logging on for a little while. Some are staying, some are, got things to do. So we're having a good time online.
But you know what the big question I have in my mind?
Is Donald Trump watching?
No, our favorite fan, Rich.
Our favorite fan. He hasn't checked in.
Oh,
At least not with me.
okay. Well, the thing is, once this is on Facebook, you can watch it on Facebook because it is being recorded there. And also,
well, it's a 3-hour time shift for them. I mean, and he might just be waking up.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, so thanks for doing that. Now we're going to have, we've had a lot of questions about Frank. And actually, we've had a lot of questions about Frank too.
Frank brings up a lot of questions.
People have said,
they'll never get me in.
What, Frank?
They'll never take me alive. They'll never take me in. Okay.
Because Frank has been here since day one.
We don't want to.
Frank has been here since day one. And on the first show, actually, he was our guest by default because we couldn't get anybody else to be our musical guest.
Is that better?
So I interviewed him there and got a bit of the history, but our audience has grown quite a bit since then. So we decided to have Frank back again as our musical guest because he has a story to tell and we want to delve into it. But Frank, how about playing us a really happy sound right now? Don, let's go over something right now. What are some happy songs that people could play to get their mood up right now?
I know one, like
Oh,
Charlie
well.
Chaplin. Smile, though your heart is aching, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. Smile through your fears and sorrow. Smile, maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through you. Light up your heart with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use in crying? You'll find your life can be worthwhile. St. Mary's, just smile. I believe that life could be like the St. Mary's Symphony if you just, everybody, you just smile.
Very good, Frank. I can hear the applause outside my window.
Did you say that
Anyways.
was Charlie Chaplin?
He wrote the music, not the
Charlie,
words.
No,
so
he wrote-
that song is what, 80, 90 years old?
Yeah.
It's just a little bit younger than you are.
Yeah, I mean, so you're thinking he probably sang that song during the Depression, and
Yes.
certainly the world has gone through tougher times than the couple of weeks that we've had right now, and maybe the few more weeks that we've got to go through. There are ways to make this work, and we can
Yes.
all still have fun. And music is a great way of doing it, Frank.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin actually wrote the lyrics to that tune.
He wrote the lyrics. I thought he just wrote the music.
No, he wrote the lyrics to it. And what happened basically was that most of his movies back in the day, before we were all born, most of the audience out there, silent movies and all that, he always had a sad face. But apparently Charlie Chaplin was a very happy-go-lucky guy. He just had basically his Hollywood image was like the sad kind of, clown kind of guy. So he wrote the lyrics to this song, "Smile," which I think is a great inspirational song for anyone who's facing any kind of troubles in their lives, or obviously now the coronavirus is all over the world. So smiling is free. See, you don't even have to have your own teeth, or you can have your teeth. Yes.
Frank, where did this Frank St. Germain story start as far as music?
Well, apparently I was born in Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto, which I don't remember quite a bit. So my story starts there. But as we go along a little bit, basically, I think I said on the first show, which was some years ago, I wanted to be a hockey player. Back in the day when I was a young man, I was born in the 50s, by the way. Some people ask me what my age is. I was born in the 50s. That's all I'm going to say. But most young people like myself or young guys wanted to be hockey players. And in those days, people like Tim Horton, a lot of young people don't realize that Tim Hortons, he was a hockey player. He was a defenseman, and his defense
Great hockey player.
Great hockey player, and his defense partner was Alan Stanley. Now, this is going a little trivia because I know John likes trivia, and some of the people out there may not know this, especially young people. So when they go to Tim Hortons, they're really going to a place where basically a hockey player, a defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs started it. Anyway, to get back to what I was saying, I wanted to be a little bit like Tim Horton, Bobby Orr, and all that. So I wanted to be a hockey player. I did not want to be a piano player by any stretch, because I just thought piano playing was not for people like myself, who like to knock people out on the ice. Okay, hey.
So how did you get started in music, Frank?
Well, that's how I started in music. I didn't become a hockey player. So basically, I started with this old honky-tonk piano that, I started playing. This is my first thing I ever played.
Now, you're self-taught, correct?
I am.
You don't read music, right?
No.
No. So how did you learn?
Well, it's like speaking the English language. You can speak English, but you may not read it. Again, getting back to hockey, Eddie Shack. Some of us old guys remember Eddie Shack. Eddie Shack couldn't read. He can only basically sign his name on a piece of paper. So to play music, and I think Rob Ebney and some of these music teachers in town or around the world would agree with me, you don't have to read music to play it. And the Beatles, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, you name it, not one of these great performers or songwriters can write a note on paper of music.
So when did you get your first job? How old were you?
I was 18 or 19 years old. I was in Toronto at a place called the Wheat Chief Tavern. And if people know Toronto, Ontario, that was the west end of Toronto at the corner of King and Bathurst Street. And a friend of mine basically knew a few chords on guitar. I knew a couple of chords on piano. And to make a long story short, he read an ad in the Toronto Star that this bar was looking for someone to perform on the weekends. So he came up to me and said, Frank, why don't we go and audition for this? I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing and you don't know what you're doing. But I said, okay, let's go and just show them that we don't know what we're doing. So basically, we went down and had an audition. They had an old piano on the stage. This guy, this partner of mine at the time, played guitar. And we did an audition for about 20 minutes. The owner was there, a couple of bartenders, and a few people that were drinking in the afternoon. And we did not make the cut until I played this one song that I knew on the piano, and it was this one. Mammy, my dear old mammy. Anyway, I did that song, and apparently it was the owner's mother's favorite song. We got the job. We got the job because of the old Al Jolson tune called Mammy. And every weekend, we were actually hired for 2 weekends. We ended up staying 2 years and built a following, and I built a band around that. The band was called Grandpa. It was a band back in the 70s and 80s. We played all over Canada, down in the United States, and we had a couple of records out. And we didn't make the big time, but most of the guys in the band decided to get a real job, and I stayed. I stayed with the piano and made a living.
Have you ever had a real job?
Well, yes and no. The yes part is that I actually, after I left home at 16 or 17 years old, I worked delivering fuel oil on Toronto Islands to the houses on the islands. It was fuel oil for their furnaces and all that kind of stuff. And I did that for about a year. But I knew that truck driving wasn't my deal. I'd go up and down the Don Valley Parkway, and I looked at all the traffic. In those days, it was bad too, but it's not even close to what it was today. But I said, Frank, this is not for you. So eventually, like I say, at the Wheat Chief Tavern, I got my start, and we built from a 2-piece to a 4-piece to a 5-piece band. We got a manager, and we took off for the foothills. We just went all over northern Ontario, and things kind of snowballed. We're playing 6 nights a week, 5 sets a night for many, many years. But again, the band did split up eventually, and I went out on my own about 30 years ago.
Yeah. Now this is taking you all around the world. Tell me about that.
Yes, it has. I was lucky enough to do a World Millennium Cruise back from 1999 to 2000. Anyway, we left at the end of 1999, came back in 2000, but we were in the Antarctica, apparently the first ones to see the sunrise of the new millennium. Say that 5 times, right? And so basically, I've done that. I've done a lot of cruise ships out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, New Orleans over my career. And I don't do very many now because you have to sign on for 3 or 4 months. Although some of my friends that are on cruise ships right now, obviously the cruise ship industry is not doing as well as it usually does, but hopefully that will change one day. So I don't do a lot of cruise ships now. And as a lot of people here know in St. Mary's, I play usually Friday nights at a place called Gordy's here in St. Mary's, which is closed right now, which is very understandable. and we miss our friends. And I want to say hello to some of our friends on Friday nights. And I know that John and Don too periodically come out. Well, John comes out a lot. So it's sort of led its way to a full-time gig. And the reason why musicians call this a gig is because the word work is too much like, we got to show up for work. No, we show up to a gig, but it is work, but it's just another word for it.
Yeah, well, again, we did our last, this past Friday, we did our first online concert, and, there were 12 of us doing it, but it was good to see everybody again. Okay, Frank, well, thanks for telling us about your life. It's still going strong, and you came
by
to
the
St.
way,
Mary's.
By the way, I want to tell everybody out there that out of something bad always comes something good. So the coronavirus is bad, but Corona beer is good.
There's our plug. Frank, is there going to be a case of Corona showing up at your thing? I'd like to go Don again. Don, give us an update of who's watching, please.
Okay, well, we have heard indirectly from Rich Miller. His sister, Patty Miller, from Pasadena, California, has sent in her hellos and thinks that Rich is probably watching, but maybe later. And so we've hit California again. We're
California, here I come, right back where I started from. Each morning at calling birds in the spring. I love it. Where else?
Yeah.
Now, Don, I was going to ask you, if you don't mind me asking, I know we're live.
Sure.
Anybody from Sweden?
Sweden?
Yeah,
Don, put your camera back on. We can't see you.
I might have missed that one, Frank. I'm sorry. I didn't see anyone from Sweden.
You didn't see anybody from
No, I mean,
Frank's off.
I've got like 100 different ones to scroll through here, and I might have missed it. So, but they're coming from all over, and it just goes to prove this works. We were playing charades. Some friends of mine. We were playing charades last night using this format, and worked out really well. So you can still get together and have a good time. And John and I are getting together tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, we're doing trivia.
We're doing trivia because that's our normal Monday night gig, Frank. We're doing a gig.
We're doing a gig. Yeah, that's right. You got to get the lingo right there, Don. And by the way, I just got a request from somebody here in St. Mary's. They want to hear a little bit of "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Do it, Frank.
Here's a little song that I wrote. I hope you hear it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy.
Be happy.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Well, it's the end. There's Don, and welcome back.
There's John.
I'd like everybody else who's been a part of the show to put their cameras back on, and I'd just like to thank everybody. The lovely Amy Cubberly, if her screen can come up. Are you there, Amy?
There we all are.
There she is. Okay, and we have Stuart Grant. Okay, Stuart. Oh, there's the sun shining on your face. That's great. Stuart, are you back there? Let's see you.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
And of course, with your video controls there, Amy.
The sun is shining in the window now.
And Lisa Lawrence. There's Stuart. Where's Lisa? You back?
I'm here. I'm still here. Yeah.
Great. Great for y'all to come in. Why don't you stay here on the extra? We're going to do our wrap up for our show, which is usual. Frank singing "Home St. Mary's." Take us home, Frank.
I was born in Ontario, place to stand, a place to grow. From Pickle Lake to Point Lake, no place I'd rather be than my hometown they call Stone Town. Prettiest town for miles around. Little false life, people share smiles. Living in harmony. Home, St. Mary, St. Mary's home to me. Oh, St. Mary, St. Mary's home to me.
Frank, can you just play in the background a bit for a while? because there's one guy we got to thank for putting all this together, and that's
Yeah.
Mike Rumble. Mike, you want to give yourself full screen right now? Because you were the guy that's made this all work out together. Mike, don't be shy. Oh,
Don't
you
pay
did full
attention to the man
screen.
behind the curtain.
Yeah, he's the
That's
Wizard
our
of
man
Oz
behind the
here.
curtain, Mike Rumble.
Yeah.
Way to go.
So you see
The
him
wizard.
somehow, or send him a message, give him lots of thanks, because this wouldn't have happened without Mike.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Go ahead, Frank.
Thank you, Mike. Left behind me many trails, old highways, dusty bit. Things got tough when all else failed. Knew where I should be. Back in my hometown, they call Stone Town. Prettiest town for miles around. Little false laugh, people share smiles. They're singing in harmony.
Okay.
Right
Everybody can
together.
sing along if they want.
Home, St. Mary's,
And I will clap.
St. Mary's home to me. Oh, St. Mary's,
St. Mary's home to me.
Clap along, John. Home,
St. Mary's.
Stuart's having a
St.
blast.
Mary's home to me.
oh,
St. Mary's.
Oh, there's Marie.
St. Mary's home to me.
St. Mary's, St. Mary's home to me. Home, St. Mary's home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's home to you. You never, you need help. Let us all know we're going to help each other do this. Because St. Mary's home to you and me. By the way, the whole show was John Stevens and Don Van Galen's idea. That's their way of contributing to this beautiful town of St. Mary's.
It's great ideas, creative people.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys this summer. Oh, St. Mary's home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's home to me. It's my home, St. Mary's home to you. God bless you. Thanks for watching this special edition of the Front Porch.